In the coming week, the airwaves, well, they'll be swamped with the words impeachment inquiry.
The center of this new impeachment inquiry.
We call it an impeachment inquiry.
Before launching an impeachment inquiry,
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announces an impeachment inquiry.
The government whistleblower who set off the impeachment inquiry.
We really only have one topic to discuss.
Here's a live look at where the high-stakes hearing with the acting director of national intelligence.
What is in that whistleblower's complaint?
It is in the Constitution.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo subpoenaed for Ukraine documents.
These past 10 days in September may prove pivotal. Key moment in the impeachment battle.
What I think has shifted is sort of the moral implications inside the Democratic caucus.
Donald Trump will leave Congress, in my view, no choice but to initiate impeachment.
Oy vey, as my loving grandma used to say. Don't get me wrong, we have a corrupt president. Not exactly breaking news. Should he be impeached? Yeah, for about 25 things. But do you need me to tell you that? Do you need status quo to cover this wall to wall? I don't think so. But let me tell you something else that's very scandalous. The fact that Flint, Michigan still does not have clean water 5.5 years later. The fact that Newark, New Jersey, Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, Cleveland, parts of Florida, parts of California, parts of Massachusetts, Detroit.
So the residents have had to bear this burden of the city screwing up, the state screwing up.
So this issue about water is a growing crisis in the Midwest, if you ask me.
And many other cities in America also have water problems. Another scandal. Black men continued to be executed by the police in the United Corporations of America.
So it's many inconsistencies that's in the situation. So we know, that it's plain out murder.
I understand or have some understanding of police culture, that they like to protect their own.
For years and decades, it's been an open season for black men.
After they dragged him for several feet, they put him back on the ground face down.
Another scandal. State parties all over the country, Democratic state parties, are screwing local progressive candidates, just like the DNC screwed Bernie Sanders in 2016. Another scandal. Fracking and these crude oil, natural gas, totally unnecessary, totally toxic pipelines are being built at a record rapid pace, and there are fighters on the ground getting no media coverage.
Since when is profit more important than water? When is profit more important than people?
So, if you want 24/7 Trump, 24/7 impeachment, 24/7 Ukraine, 24/7 Russia, whatever other scandal of the day, not your guy. But if you want on the ground, in the field reporting of the actual, true, long-lasting, happening way before Trump scandals in America, become a member. statusquo.com/join for as low as a cup of coffee a month. statusquo.com/join. Help us build the media revolution. We go out in the field. We've been all over this country in the last 2 years.
Standing Rock. I've been with you. I've been with you since Standing Rock.
Wow, you got me on right now. We're doing it, baby. We're going to South Bend. It's time to show the real Mayor Pete.
In 100 days, they tore down 1,000 houses in 100 days.
Thank you, whether it's Standing Rock or Flint or everything else you do. You know, you guys, it's not even like watching news. It's just watching truth, you know.
It's not me and you, Jordan. It's the ruling class. It's David Koch. It's the Walton family, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. It's them, not us, that benefit from these illegal offensive wars.
Come on over here. Whoa!
We're here at the Bellagio in Las Vegas, and you are going to see live the actual caucus process. We are here.
We go out in the field, and we give the microphone back to the people.
Yo! Cool! I know who you are, yo!
How you doing, man?
You the man, yo!
Unmarked pills, okay.
Ooh, essential oils, purification. Oh, peppermint, la la la. Love it.
I am worried about Jordan, testing positive. He doesn't have any breathing difficulties right now, but he definitely has a cough that's been really bad and that's been hurting his chest.
That's Fury right there. I've cleared out the desk and now got my drill a hole and we'll see how this goes. Hopefully well. I know a general idea of what I want, essentially, so I'll try and get all this down to about a minute, get the main points, especially I got 2 videos at least for Flint.
The bottom line is, it's Sunday morning, I'm preparing for my Sunday live stream, which usually takes me about 2 hours to prepare for before the live stream. And I got an email from a viewer.
Hey guys, Jen Dice here with a behind the scenes video. First of all, thank you so much for being a member. It's because of you guys that Jamal and I are able to be here. We can't thank you enough. It means just the world to us.
Millions and millions of people have been laid off. Millions more have had their hours cut. We're kind of living in a quiet, silent depression. What do you call 45 million people filing for unemployment?
$1,200 in 3 months makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense.
Everybody should be paying attention to what's going on because this is happening in every county, not just Louisville, Kentucky. And that's why the world is like, wait a minute, enough's enough.
And one thing I do know is if you're not sitting at the table, you are on the menu. And it seems like we continue to be on the menu.
I don't want to have to lose everything that we worked really hard for. We've been struggling for 5 years, and then we finally got everything together, and it just instantly went away.
Literally driving across the country during the pandemic, talking to people, finding out what's going on.
There are people such as yourself and other people that are telling the true story of what is happening.
All of these black people have been assassinated by police in this city, and none of them have been brought to justice.
People don't really care about those things in places where, you know, we're not New York, we're not Chicago, we're not Minneapolis, we're Louisville, Kentucky.
If somebody calls you screaming for help at 911, they never treated her. They never came to her apartment, nothing.
Vote. Vote. And do what's right in your heart because change comes from within. So as long as your heart is pure and you're doing what's right, that's what matters.
Once upon a time there was truth in journalism where brave men and women gave voice to the voiceless. But then the corporations bought the journalist, poisoning the news that we are fed. With those tainted sources all we ever ate was a steady diet of status quo. This hijacked narrative hid the truth of mass suffering, injustice and corruption throughout our land. Status quo, status quo, status quo, status quo. To expose this shift to oligarchy came a band of honest journalists. They left the studio and hit the streets to give the microphone back to the people. From sea to sea, the people were empowered to share their truth. Their voices no longer stifled, reclaimed their power. Join the media revolution now.
Hey there, Status Quo crew. I hope you're having a lovely day. Today, as every day lately here in 2020, is a huge, huge, huge news day. Now, normally we here at Status Quo don't really cover every little thing or that Donald Trump does wrong or that people take offense to. We don't cover Donald Trump's every little tweet like many in the corporate media do. We absolutely believe on reporting the important things, but we tend to cover things that go unreported by other outlets. So it's kind of rare for us to even have Trump in the headline unless we've been interviewing Trump supporters or something like that. But today's news is way too explosive to not cover and to not highlight. So I'm going to come at the Trump story from a couple of different angles, from the actual story, what happened, what's been released in this shocking, incredibly shocking audio, that Bob Woodward, in doing an interview with Trump, was recording, and Donald Trump admitted or said early on, back in February 2020, that he knew how deadly and dangerous coronavirus was going to be. And here we are. Almost 200,000 people have died from coronavirus, and Donald Trump didn't do anything. He completely downplayed what was going on with coronavirus and how deadly it was going to be. He knew. We're also going to talk about the fact that Bob Woodward, heroic journalist, hero of the Watergate story along with Carl Bernstein, well, he sat on this story for 7 months. He knew what Trump knew, and he sat on the story. You want to guess why? Because he has a book coming out on Tuesday. That's why this audio is dropping now. What could have happened if this audio had come out months ago? We'll talk about it. So keep on coming in. Hopefully more viewers find us. YouTube has absolutely been suppressing us lately. Today has been wild. I've been publishing videos throughout the day, and YouTube, videos that would normally have thousands of views at this point have a couple hundred. So there's something going on with YouTube's algorithm. They're certainly not featuring us. So I suspect strongly that they are not going to feature this live stream. So what you can do to help is smash the like button, because that does kind of kick YouTube's algorithm into gear, and they want to display content that people are interested in. So if you smash the like button, it shows activity, it shows things going on, it shows interest in the stream. You can also share the stream on your social media. Share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it on subreddits that are relevant. Let people know that we are live, and nudge a friend, come on over, subscribe to Status Quo's channel. All of that can really, really help. It makes a big difference. So I want to check in on you guys in the chat before I fully get started here. Make sure that the audio is sounding good, that everything is looking good, all of that. Linear Bob, I can give you high marks for the production quality too. Yeah, sorry, Linear Bob. It's just me here in my my pretend studio with my books behind me. Just a very small number of my books, just a few of my books. But that's okay. We here at Status Quo, we're not CNN, we're not 60 Minutes. We don't have the fancy graphics going on in the background. So I think that's okay, because what really matters is doing the journalism for sure. Keep smashing that like button. Aw, Andy, you're so sweet. She says, just seeing Jen's face and hearing her voice makes me happy. I love to hear that. Really, really sweet of you. Okay, it sounds like everything is good. Before I fully dive in to the stories, and I say dive in too much. I need to come up with other phrases. It just flows off the tongue. But I want to address something that people commented on one of my videos today. So yesterday, in yesterday's live stream, I reported on an autistic 13-year-old child. So he has Asperger's, and he was in a period of distress. He was dysregulated, and so his mother, who was going back to work for the first time in a year, was really frazzled and kind of didn't know what to do. So she called the police. The police came, and within 5 minutes they shot the boy several times. Thank God he isn't dead right now. He's in the hospital with severe injuries. But I took issue with the idea that this mother, and to give you the full background, I too am a mother of a 13-year-old boy with Asperger's. So I was emotional and very invested in this case. It's horrific, just devastating. And I strongly believe that only people who are trained in autism and Asperger's and what's actually going on, it wasn't this kid being bad or being violent. He was dysregulated and throws your entire system off, and you literally, no matter what the child, even if he wanted to calm down, he can't. He literally cannot. It's past the point of return. So this mother called the police,
And I took issue with that. My thought was, you know, why would you call the police in on your son, who you know is having a meltdown related to his Asperger's? I did not understand that. Now, there are other things to do, and that's part of why people are calling for defunding the police. When people are having mental health issues or issues with a disability, like Asperger's, then there should be people there who are trained to handle the case, which are not police. Police are not trained in this. So I tried not to be too harsh on the mother, because obviously it's not her fault the police shot him several times. But the mother also did say, I don't see why the police didn't just tase him. Well, to me, that is a huge step in the wrong direction. I don't know why she would say that. But what a few people pointed out when I published just the clip of that video of me talking about it yesterday, people said, well, what you don't realize is that in Salt Lake City, Utah, where this occurred, they had been advertising, the police had been advertising for years now, I believe since 2013, that they have a special kind of system where it's, you know, the police force integrated with mental health help, like a crisis intervention. So she thought that she was calling and she wanted that crisis intervention team to come. So I didn't, you know, that was not part of the reporting at the time that I had been looking into the case. So I do apologize about knowing that. It's not like she just called in, you know, the regular police to come and handle this. She believed she was calling a true crisis intervention team. I still take issue with her comments about why didn't they tase him instead. I think though, you know, so I apologize to that mother, first of all. I also apologize to the audience that I did not know that there was a crisis intervention team among the Salt Lake City police. But I also want to say that this shows you how broken the system is. The fact that police were involved in this at all, and that this crisis intervention crew is run out of the police system, shows you how broken it is. You simply, she didn't get the help that she deserved. She didn't get the help that was advertised, and this was the result. But this team was based on the police, run through the police, and it just can't work like that. We need something else that's more specialized, that guarantees that true help will come. So those are my comments on that. I also want to address, I got some crap for saying that Seth Rich was not the leaker of the DNC leaks. A lot of people took, you know, well, not a lot of people. There were two guys who were saying, and I believe one is in this chat right now, so hello to you, were saying that you're basically, they're saying you're a shitty journalist because you're saying Seth Rich wasn't the leaker. You should do more research. Why haven't you done any research? You shouldn't be a journalist. No. First of all, it is extremely, I believe it is sexist, first of all. And I'm not one who usually goes to that place, but imagine like assuming that a male journalist had a different view of facts than you did, or had found additional facts that you had not found, and telling him that he is not cut out to be a journalist and needs to do his research. It was very, very condescending, sexist or not, whatever it was. You know, I think there are very few people who dug into the Seth Rich case as much as I did. I was obsessive about studying the Seth Rich case because what the DNC leaks revealed was corruption. It revealed a completely undemocratic process. It revealed so much that was so disheartening and horrible, and I believed that it needed to be stopped. So when the story was started, And, you know, you had Wheeler, who was an investigator associated with the Seth Rich family. He was out there saying stuff. There was let's see, I lost my track of thought there. So we had Wheeler. We also had Seymour Hersh, a really well-respected journalist who I respect a lot. And so there was a leaked audio of him kind of sowing doubt in people's minds and basically hinting that someone like Seth Rich could have been the leaker. Seymour was talking about FBI sources and things like that. So when I heard that from Seymour Hersh back then, I was like, oh my God, like I need to keep looking into this. This is crazy. If Seymour Hersh is saying something, wow. So I continued to dig into it. We also have the fact that Julian Assange, he of course never directly said, you know, Seth Rich was the leaker, but he did some things on video that sure as heck made it seem like he was acknowledging that Seth Rich was the leaker. So what I said yesterday was, Julian Assange, I am 100% for him to be freed. You know, free Julian Assange. This matters for press freedom. I'm going to continue to report on the Julian Assange case because it matters so, so much. And Julian Assange has done so much good. WikiLeaks has done so much good. We need to hold power to account. It needs to happen. So me expressing that now that additional research has come out, that things have kind of shaken out years later, me expressing disappointment in Julian Assange hinting that Seth Rich was the leaker, when in fact the facts do not add up to that, that shouldn't be offensive to people. But I know that people have their pet conspiracy theories. I love reading a good conspiracy theory. I fully believe that the CIA killed JFK. I'm fascinated by conspiracy theories. I'm fascinated by leakers and whistleblowers and people who are trying to expose the bad. But that doesn't mean denying facts. So for people who want to come into my comments and tell me to do my research and that I'm a bad journalist, you're making some incredibly faulty and insulting assumptions, and you can simply not watch my videos. So go away. All right. Checking in on the chat here. I see some super chats. Super duper. Keep those super chats coming. It really, really helps. We are up to 200 viewers so far. Hopefully it will go up even more, but I love all 200 of you. So smash that like button. Let's get to 200 likes as well. And also share this stream. Subscribe if you haven't already. Dimitri OG 199 in the super chat. You're my celebrity crush, Jen. Thank you so much, Dimitri. And I promise you I'll get back to your email. Jordan had another day off, so I've been really scrambling. So I'll get back to you tomorrow. Dimitri was brutalized by police, so we'll get into that more once I'm able to speak to Dimitri. So let's get into this crazy story. And as I said, we don't just cover every little thing that Trump does. That's covered by CNN and MSNBC and everybody else ad nauseum, constantly, every tweet. But this story matters. So CNN broke this because Bob Woodward leaked or gave them the audio. So Bob Woodward had been doing, he was allowed, shockingly, to do a series of interviews with very, very high-level officials. He was allowed to do 18 interviews with Donald Trump. You might think, as I did, why in God's name would Donald Trump agree to do interviews with Bob Woodward, who is famous for having taken down a president? And I have to think it's hubris. Like, Donald Trump wanted to give interviews to Bob Woodward because he thought he'd be able to shape the narrative. But instead, what has happened is Trump has admitted to concealing how deadly coronavirus was going to be. So I think Donald Trump's probably kicking himself right now. And Jordan and I were talking earlier. This might make Donald Trump lose the election, this revelation. I've been saying for a long time, for months, that I believe Donald Trump is going to win. I think there are way too many kind of sleeper Donald Trump voters who aren't showing up on polling. And I just think Joe Biden was a horrible pick for the Democrats. So I've thought, I still lean that way, that Donald Trump is going to win another term. But if anything could stop him, this is it. This might wake some people up. It's not going to wake up people like QAnon truthers. It's not going to wake up to people who are fully immersed in the Trump cult, which there are a lot of cult-like features in the way that Trump speaks, the way he conducts himself, and the way that his truest, most avid followers are. But it might wake up maybe some Republicans who've been on the fence. It might wake up, let's go ahead and say, it might wake up some sane people. So the story is, with the headline, "Play It Down, Trump admits to concealing the true threat of coronavirus in new Woodward book." And I've gotten to the point. I hope CNN holds this clip and doesn't restart it. But this is part of the audio that Bob Woodward gave to CNN.
And so, what was President Xi saying yesterday?
Well, we were talking mostly about the virus, and I think he's going to have it in good shape. But it's a very tricky situation. It goes through air, Bob. That's always tougher than the touch. The touch, you don't have to touch things, right? But the air, you just breathe the air. That's how it's passed. And so that's a very tricky one. That's a very delicate one. It's also more deadly than your strenuous flus. People don't realize we lose 25,000, 30,000 people a year here. Who would ever think that, right?
I know.
It's pretty amazing. And then I say, well, is that the same thing? This is more deadly. This is 5 per. This is 5% versus 1% and less than 1%. So this is deadly stuff.
John, I just want all of us.
So what you have there is Donald Trump admitting how deadly he knew this was going to be. And again, for reference, this interview between Bob Woodward and Donald Trump took place in February of 2020. So 7 months ago. So 7 months ago, Trump had talked to Xi and got the information just how deadly and horrible coronavirus was and is and was going to be. So Donald Trump knew it was deadly, knew it wasn't like the flu, which so many of his reporters believe, and what he has come across as believing as well. He knew that. We are almost up to 200,000 people dead in the United States from coronavirus. An incredible number of coronavirus cases around the U.S. This is nowhere near over. Not at all. Not by any stretch. So the fact that Donald Trump knew this and did not take action earlier should disturb absolutely every American. This is essentially murder. He knew that people were going to die, but he did not take the measures to prevent their deaths. He apparently thought, and he has said, he was, I don't want to cause panic among people. I don't want people to panic, as a way of explaining why he didn't take more action, even though he knew this information. Well, if the image is more important to you than the actual lies, if people panicking is more important to you than actual lives, you're a disgusting person. So he withheld this information for political reasons, for looks, and let those people die. Let all of those people, including Jordan, were affected by coronavirus. I was terrified when Jordan came down with corona. Just absolutely terrified. And I know Anat, like, way more than me. She was there taking care of him. I know that
it was terrifying for her. You know, there's someone that she loves just coughing constantly in the other room, in pain and discomfort in the other room. And of course she couldn't actually come close to him, so had to just spend that time in fear and isolation. My mind kept going to the worst place. What if this progresses? What if he dies? You know, his immune system isn't great. So many people have had that fear. Like, the psychological terror of this is another element that a lot of people don't get into or consider. So yeah, Trump is a murderer. This is a huge, huge scandal. Continuing on, President Donald Trump admitted he knew weeks before the first confirmed U.S. coronavirus death that the virus was dangerous, airborne, highly contagious, and more deadly than even your strenuous flus, and that he repeatedly played it down publicly, according to legendary journalist Bob Woodward in his new book, Rage. His new book, Rage. I'm going to rant a lot about Bob Woodward's new book coming out on September 15th, this coming Tuesday. What a coincidence. Crazy. I know that it's not Bob Woodward's fault that Donald Trump did all this, but I believe his complicity comes into play because he sat on this for 7 months. He knew this information and didn't come forward until it could help the sales of his book. I'm furious about this. I'm obviously many more times furious at Donald Trump. I think he's a horrible, just murderer at this point, as I've said. But Bob Woodward should not just sneak by this and be praised by every journalist in the media. Anyway, I'll get more into that in a second. This is deadly stuff, Trump told Woodward on February 7th. In a series of interviews with Woodward, Trump revealed that he had a surprising level of detail about the threat of the virus earlier than previously known. Pretty amazing, Trump told Woodward, adding that the coronavirus was maybe 5 times more deadly than the flu. Trump's admissions are in stark contrast to his frequent public comments at the time, insisting that the virus was going to disappear and all work out fine. The book, using Trump's own words, depicts a president who has betrayed the public trust and the most fundamental responsibilities of his office. In Rage, Trump says the job of a president is to keep our country safe. But in early February, Trump told Woodward he knew how deadly the virus was, and in March admitted he kept that knowledge hidden from the public. I wanted to always play it down, Trump told Woodward on March 19th, even as he declared a national emergency over the virus days earlier. I still like playing it down, because I don't want to create a panic. If instead of playing down what he knew, Trump had acted decisively in early February with a strict shutdown and a consistent message to wear masks, social distance, and wash hands, experts believe that thousands of American lives could have been saved. The startling revelations in Rage, which CNN obtained ahead of its September 15th release, were made during 18 wide-ranging interviews Trump gave Woodward from December 5th, 2019 to July 21st, 2020. The interviews were recorded by Woodward with Trump's permission, and CNN has obtained copies of some of the audio tapes. So I think those dates are important. These interviews continued on through July, through the end of July. So some, fans of Bob Woodward, which include many people in the elite media. I've been a fan of Bob Woodward. I was inspired by the work he and Bernstein did. So what they might say is that, well, he didn't want to lose access to Trump, so he couldn't release what he knew. But that still leads to deaths. If people knew, this information could have helped people. It could have opened up people's eyes much earlier. Yeah, Woodward might have lost access, but what is the cost of access? It goes on, talks about Rage, essentially an ad for Rage. Let's see here if there's anything else relevant. Let's see. Presidents are the executive branch. There was a duty to warn, to listen, to plan, and to take care, Woodward writes. But in the days following the January 28th briefing, Trump used high-profile appearances to minimize the threat, and Woodward writes to reassure the public they faced little risk. So you can definitely read this article. There's certainly not a shortage of reporting on this. It's been a bombshell in the news in all outlets all day long. It is shocking and horrifying, and whether or not you're a fan of Trump, which I know people on this channel are not fans of Trump, it needs to open people's eyes. Trump was asked to address this today, and Kayleigh McEnany as well. They're already spinning it. They're already spinning it in a way that will keep some of those, well, many of those Trump supporters. So here's what Trump had to say. This is out of Mediaite, and the headline is, "I'm a cheerleader for this country. Trump defends downplaying COVID, calls Woodward book a political hit job." President Donald Trump was confronted Wednesday afternoon over his comments to Bob Woodward about his downplaying of the seriousness of coronavirus early on. Trump told Woodward months ago on tape that he always wanted to play it down and acknowledged it was more serious than the flu. The president Wednesday announced his new list for potential future Supreme Court justices, including 3 Republican senators. But when it came time for questions, he was immediately confronted by reporter after reporter over his acknowledgement that he was downplaying the global pandemic. "I'm a cheerleader for this country," Trump said. "I love our country, and I don't want people to be frightened. I don't want to create panic, as you say. Certainly I'm not going to drive this country or the world into a frenzy. We want to show confidence. We want to show strength. We want to show strength as a nation. That's what I've done. We've done very well." He continued to defend the U.S. response to the coronavirus overall before insisting again he didn't want to instill panic. "How do you reassure the American public going forward that they can trust what you're saying?" one reporter asked. Trump again went back to saying he didn't want to create a panic. "We don't want to have to show panic. We're not going to show panic. That's exactly what I did, and I was very open, whether it's to Woodward or anybody else," Trump said, before calling the book another political hit job. So there you have it. This is what the Trump campaign is going to say. It's how they're going to spin it. And many people who've been indoctrinated in the Trump cult, they're going to believe it. Even some people who had been swayed and were upset by the news about what Trump knew about coronavirus back in February, even those people might now be swayed back onto his team because Trump has come up with an explanation. And they were going to be looking for an excuse to get back on Team Trump no matter what. As to how it affects, the wider public and some undecided or independent voters remains to be seen. This definitely doesn't help Trump. This doesn't win anyone to his side. So the only answer is it's going to make him lose people. So we'll have to look at the polling. We'll have to see how things shake out. It's only September. The election's in November. Anything can happen. And now we'll get to my my rant about Bob Woodward. So here's what I tweeted earlier today. First I said, "What possible excuse does Bob Woodward have for sitting on this critical information for several months, other than wanting to save it to pump up his book sales? Disgusting." And then I added, "Thousands upon thousands of people died at the altar of elite journalism and politics." For me, this boils down to the fact that Bob Woodward knew certain information, and knowing and releasing that information could have helped to save lives. He also knew that he was writing a book. And when you are writing a book, you obviously want to sell copies. You obviously want to have a PR run before the book comes out. You want to have as much hype as possible. Those are all things I understand. You know, I have many, many years in marketing. Before I was a journalist, I was in marketing. So I get it. I get wanting to sell books. I get, you know, saving certain information for your book. You don't want to release everything that you're going to put in your book because then no one would buy it. But when you are privy to information that if the wider public knew it, lives could be saved. People would take more precautions in order to save lives. I think that you are too at fault. You know, Trump is the monster here. Trump is the villain. There's no questioning that. I don't want anyone to get it twisted. I'm not saying this is all Bob Woodward's fault. You know, Trump is fine, whatever. This is Bob Woodward's fault. He should have done more. No, I'm saying Trump is the villain. There's no question. Trump is a murderer. No question. He could have saved lives. No question. He's the president. But Bob Woodward knew this information too. If he's a journalist who cares about ethics and reporting vital, crucial, critical information, then why are we now in September? And he knew this back in February. We already talked about the fact that he maintained access to Trump through the end of July. So again, if he had released this information before, he almost certainly would have lost access. And he wanted to keep that flowing. This is access journalism 101. I think no matter how it shakes out, whether 50 lives could have been saved, whether 1,000 lives could have been saved, whether 50,000 lives could have been saved, if Bob Woodward had released this information, I believe he should have released it. I strongly believe that it is the duty of a journalist to release information that can make an impact, that can save lives, and that is critical for the people to know. So another tweet that got some attention with a different spin on this is from @Kushbomb, who's one of the Chapo guys. I can't remember which one. Sorry about that. I think maybe Matt Christman. Bob Woodward is of course a worm and a spook and a moral catastrophe, and I understand the outrage. I do wonder what the alternative timeline where he releases the tapes in March looks like. I suspect it's not much different. So I don't think, I definitely think that lives could have been saved. That is my opinion. I do think that this current landscape would look different if the information had been released. But in my opinion, this is a false question. It may be, I don't want to phrase this wrong. I don't want to say it doesn't matter if it would have saved lives or not, because it was the right thing to do. By saying that, I of course don't mean it doesn't matter if lives were saved. I believe lives would have been saved. But the morally correct thing to do was for Bob Woodward to release this information, and not to save it the Tuesday right before his book comes out. Not to use CNN, not to give the information to CNN so that they write an ad for you for your book. Coming out on September 15th. That's not the duty of a journalist. I'm very upset about this. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious to know what you think. I'm going to go through a few more stories, but I want you to know that Jordan is going live with Graham Elwood, who you guys all like as well, and that will be at 6 o'clock. So I'm trying to beat the clock. I kind of babbled on for longer than I meant to. Definitely keep those super chats coming. Smash the like button. Share this stream. Irrational Bowl, $4.99 in the super chat. The genetic material for the virus was figured out in 2019, hence the COVID-19. There were videos of body bags filling freezer trucks in Wuhan then too. Yeah, you make a really good point. So some people will say to this, oh, we already knew this information. We, the public, already knew how deadly the virus was. So your point about there being body bags in Wuhan, and that we should have known the dangers based on Wuhan, is very well taken. And I think a lot of intelligent people people who do pay attention to the news and what's going on in the world did know. And that is why so many people were consistently adamant about wearing masks, about sanitizing, about social distancing, and immediately took to those things. But then you have the people who only follow what Donald Trump says. So even if they could have at that time been persuaded, even if those Trump people could have been persuaded back then to wear masks, to social distance, to give a crap about this virus, hearing Donald Trump downplaying it immediately turns their thoughts to, oh, this is not a big deal. Wearing a mask will make me into a lib. That's for sissies. Those people were the ones who were swayed exactly by what Trump said. And he is the president. He does have authority. Even people who don't necessarily like him, do listen to what he has to say. So very, very scary. Super chats make the world go round, so keep them coming. Rich Had says the status quo lady is a joke. You're a joke, Rich Had. Get off my stream, buddy. John Kemper, $2 in the super chat. I am so confused that people think this is defensible. Yeah, I'm confused as well, John. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. Share the stream, smash the like button. Remember that Jordan is going live with Graham Elwood at 6 o'clock, so I've got to hurry myself up here. So I'm going to actually skip forward a bit and cover some shorter stories. I was going to dive into the Julian Assange trial for today. There's nothing like monumental that happened today. There were some really, really good witnesses. Trevor Tim was one. So I do want to cover it, but I will possibly like do a video for it in the morning, so that we can kind of breeze through this. I'm absolutely going to stay on the Julian Assange case for sure. Just short on time right now. So here's something to make you worry about the choices the Democratic Party have made in particular. So this is a new polling out of CNBC. And this page goes into a lot of different aspects of this poll, but what I want to highlight is the mental fitness of Donald Trump and Joe Biden. So what I'm talking about is the perceived mental fitness of Donald Trump and Joe Biden. So if you look at a Donald Trump, just from observing him, without knowing any polls or how other people think, without having a diagnosis from a doctor, just listening to him, you know there's several screws loose there. He's not all together. He is older. I believe that there's something going on with him. I don't believe he's anywhere near as mentally sharp as he used to be. For God's sake, he went on a rant last week or the week before where he ranted about Antifa throwing bags of soup, and he was talking about soup for your family, and it was just bizarre. And there are many, many bizarre things that Trump does that doesn't make any sense at all. So, of course, we have questions about his mental fitness. We also have Joe Biden, who was touring the country on the campaign trail and forgetting President Barack Obama's name. His boss and supposed best friend, he forgot his name. He said some really wacky things. He's showing signs of being irrationally angry at people. You've heard, he's like calling people fat and like just being really defensive and striking out at these people. So we have those things. We have the things that he says things wrong, that he is making gaffes, that his sentences often don't make any sense. And some Democrats try to chalk that up into as him having a stutter, which he does have a stutter. He's had to overcome this stutter his entire life, and I think that's admirable. And I think he is an inspiration to those who suffer with a stutter. But him not being able to form sentences and getting things wrong, that's not a stutter. So in a debate matchup between these two people who are clearly having mental fitness issues, I believe that Trump would come out stronger. If you have those two people on a debate stage, Trump is simply going to look stronger. It's not because he's necessarily smarter or even more mentally fit. It's just that Trump is the best propagandist that we have on this planet right now. His marketing and PR, especially when it comes to selling himself, is absolutely top-notch. I believe he would crush Biden in a debate. All that is to say that they both are having mental fitness issues. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a person with a brain who can observe these things. So how does the rest of the country feel? Let's take a look. 55% of likely national voters, 51% of likely battleground voters say Trump is mentally unfit to be president. Wow. Let's get to Biden. That has to be better, right? Well, 52% of likely national and battleground voters say Biden is mentally unfit to be president. Holy crap is what everybody should be saying to themselves. And by the way, this means that Donald Trump is scoring 1% better than Biden when it comes to battleground voters on their thoughts on the mental fitness. This is terrifying. How did we get to a point where we have two lunatics who are losing their minds running for president against each other? There are only two choices. How do we get to this point? The two old white men who are losing their minds, can't form sentences, don't make sense often. How are they our only choices? It's because of our corrupt system of government. It's because of the elites that are at the top that are holding the purse strings. This comes down to money and what's going to help the elites continue to make money. So really, really scary there. I just wanted to share that with you because I believe, while polling certainly doesn't tell us everything, it is very indicative of the general feeling of the public. Who knows what the polling will be next week or in a month and a half? Who knows? One of these guys could have a complete meltdown where it's even more clear that they're mentally unfit. I have no idea what's going to happen, but what is clear is this is a disaster. Here's some news to cheer you up after that crazy news. So this is reporting out of the Young Turks. Cenk Uygur did an interview with Nina Turner saying, are you thinking about 2024? To which Nina Turner replied, I am. So those of you who follow Status Quo regularly, if you think back to Jordan's multiple interviews with Nina Turner over the past year, he tends to ask this question. Back when it was a possibility, he was asking about her potential to become Bernie's VP, asking about her plans for the future. Was she thinking about a run? So this is a trail that Jordan's been on for a long time. He's been observing kind of the excitement around Nina Turner. She's fire. She gives a speech like no one else. She gets people riled up and excited. And of course, for a true progressive, her policies and politics are completely on point. So let's listen to what Nina told Cenk here.
We know that a number of... Are you thinking about 2024? I am. There are lots of people that I hear from all the time, from all over this country, who want me to consider running again. It's always something that is on my list. But for this moment, I'm going to continue to help progressive candidates, progressive causes. I'm also going to continue to navigate the racial justice space. To do those things, so we need corporations to come on through. Now, they come through for themselves and the tax breaks and how they lobby Congress. We need them to come on through for the people. And there is a way to get some of those corporations to do that, especially on the justice side. Since the killing of George Floyd, we know that a number of corporations have pledged a whole lot of money for racial justice. Let's see if they can do that. So I'm also going to put some of my talent on that side. But absolutely strong consideration for 2024, no doubt. Are you thinking about 2024?
Okay, you heard it there from her first. And I have to point out before I talk about what she just said, Nina Turner, I have been following since 2016. Look at what Twitter has done. I just now noticed this. They have unfollowed me from Nina Turner. There is absolutely no planet on which I unfollowed Nina Turner. It just did not happen. So let's get that follow going again. Unbelievable. Why? Why would Twitter do that? Let's think about it. Anyway, about her potentially running, there are going to be different thoughts about this. You know, Nina Turner really kicked up a fuss among Biden wing Democrats and progressives, Bernie sorts of Democrats and Democratic socialists, when she said that the choice between Donald Trump and Joe Biden is eating a large pile of shit versus eating a smaller pile of shit. That's not a direct quote, that's a paraphrase, but it didn't make a lot of people happy. So I think it's, I mean, I don't care. I think that's a relevant description. I absolutely think that Biden has to win. Trump is a complete menace, as we saw with the story earlier. But, you know, whatever. She can say whatever she wants. But when it comes to her politics, people have been trying to draft Nina. There are draft Nina accounts. People are going to be really, really excited about this. But is having the Bernie wing of the Democratic Party going to be enough? And then you have the fact that Nina Turner, you know, she does not have extensive governmental experience. If we as journalists have pointed out, you know, back during the primaries, well, Mayor Pete, why is he even running? He's just a mayor. If we said that and had those feelings about Mayor Pete, to be consistent, I do think that we have to point out, well, Nina Turner was a state senator. So I think she's done great work. I love her policies and politics. I love how she speaks and presents herself. I am a Nina stan. But does she have the kind of experience, the kind of liftoff that's going to make it possible for her to be a contender in 2024? I want to say yes, absolutely. I want to say the forces will get behind her. But I also think back to the fact that the DNC blocked her from even nominating Bernie Sanders back in 2016. So she's already, blacklisted from the DNC in many ways. I don't even know if she's planning to run as a Democrat. I have no idea beyond that clip that I just showed you. So this is all speculation, just thoughts swirling in my head. I don't know where I land on it yet. But all I know is that this has gotten a lot of progressives really, really excited. And people are already, planning a campaign for her and boosting her and things like that. So we will see. We'll also have to see the next time we can get Nina on the show with Jordan for an interview about all of this. So I'm going to check in on you guys in the chat, but I do have to hop off because Jordan is about to be live with Graham Elwood on Graham's channel. So definitely check that out. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe to Status Quo. We are on our way to 100,000 subscribers. I've said it before, but I do want that plaque. Once you reach 100,000 subscribers, YouTube sends you a plaque. I don't really care about the plaque. All it is symbolic of the fact that, we have worked hard to reach this milestone. More importantly than plaques is the thought, the idea that we have that reaching 100,000 subscribers will help us to be seen more, that YouTube's algorithm will maybe be kinder to us if we have more subscribers. So we definitely want to grow. It'll also help us get more people on in interviews. Our channel will become more attractive to people that are more difficult to get interviews with and things like that. So subscribe, tell your friends, family, cats, and dogs to subscribe. Check Jordan out on Graham Elwood show. I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic interview. So hop on there right after I sign off. And love you all. So sorry if I pronounce your last name. Well, I'll just call you Yi. So Yi asked, do we have to go to Graham's channel? This is all so confusing. Yes, so Graham is doing the interview on his channel. That's a great question. So definitely go to Graham's channel, not this one. It will not be live on this one. Great comments from you guys. Great super chats. And great family atmosphere. Love you all. You're so incredible. If you're not a member yet, statuscoup.com/join. If you want things like a Status Coup hoodie for your doggy, a Status Coup fanny pack, Status Coup sweatshirts and t-shirts, go to statuscoup.com/store. So hop on over right now to see Graham and Jordan. It's going to be great. Bye-bye, guys. Love you all.